everybody, I'm Mango Thunderslice, and today's a rainy day in the Sierra Nevada. Just thought I'd share a quick article with you guys. This is another one by a person who's more actually Democratic leaning, but in the current environment I enjoy sharing these ones a little bit more than just typical right-wing perspectives, because we all know what things are over on the rational side, but it's interesting to see people who are on the liberal, progressive, commie-leaning side actually realizing themselves how ridiculous this whole thing is, right? The mainstream kind of moderate Democrats are just shaking their head in amazement at the ridiculousness of this election. So this is James Howard Kunstler. I've made fun of him on a lot of previous articles, but I enjoyed this one. He's very snarky with his writing, and when he turns it on the Democrats, it's entertaining sometimes. So this is Kunstler. All the players in this great game of gotcha are about to face the consequences. The last time the Democratic Party blew up in a presidential election year was 1860. It had evolved from Jefferson's 1800 block of yeoman farmers to Andrew Jackson's rowdy caucus of frontier populists in the 1830s, and settled into a slough of pro-slavery apologists by the 1850s, including two do-nothing Democratic presidents, Pierce and Buchanan. The party held a nominating convention in the spring of 1860 and couldn't come up with a candidate when a claque of Southern fire eaters walked out. They tried again a few months later and cracked up into three separate parties with three nominees, and of course Mr. Lincoln won the election. The result was the bloodiest war in U.S. history. That's one way to drain a swamp. Historical obfuscators might say that the Civil War was a lofty, legalistic quarrel over states' rights, but of course it was really about the intolerable depravity of slavery. 100 years later, the mysterious inversions of history converted the old Slavers' Party into the Civil Rights Party. That had a good 50-year run. It included a hearty side dish of anti-war sentiment and a general disposition against the Big Brother treatment of citizens, including especially the overreach of the CIA and the FBI. What is the Democratic Party today? Well, it's the cheerleading squad for 17 government agencies that add up to the craftily labeled Intel Community, a warm and fuzzy coalition of snoops, false witnesses, rogue lawfare-caters, seditionists, and bad faith artists working sedulously to hide their previous misdeeds with ever-fresh ones. They're the party against free speech, the party against due process of law, the party determined to provoke war with Russia. They're the party of sexual confusion, sexual hysteria, and sexual conflict. The party of kangaroo courts, cancel culture, erasing boundaries, including national borders, and of making up rules for all that as they go along, like the Nazis and Soviets used to do. The ideas and policies they advocate are so comprehensively crazy that their old support of slavery looks quaintly straightforward in comparison. It's taken a while for the full efflorescence of these political pathologies to present, but now they are finally on display for all to see in what is supposed to be a climatic impeachment melodrama. The impeachment process itself has revealed the party's genius for inventing new debaucheries of law and government misconduct, the latest being Representative Adam Schiff's blatantly illegal cadging of his opponent's phone logs. And now, after 3 years of unchallenged wickedness, they literally face the moment of truth. That is, when all the many players in this grand game of gotcha have to face the consequences of what they have done. The Horowitz report is necessarily limited to the DOJ Inspector General's narrow mission scope. The IG can only interview current employees of the agency and its stepchild, the FBI, which means that key players in the gotcha game, such as former FBI Director Comey, former Acting Director McCabe, fired Special Agent Peter Strzok, and notably ex-CIA Director John Brennan, were outside of Mr. Horowitz's sphere of operations. His scope was also supposedly limited to the issues around FISA warrant mischief, though those complex shenanigans may have led the IG to other related dodges, cons, and crimes outright. The IG has no real law enforcement powers. He can only refer or recommend further action. Nevertheless, a great miasma of anxiety oppresses the Democratic Party now, as it awaits whatever Mr. Horowitz has to say about these matters. The party's propaganda arms at the New York Times, the WashPo, and cable news networks worked up a frenzy of distractions and ruses this past week. For instance, the bombshell that international man of mystery Joseph Mifsud was not a hireling of the FBI. Of course, nobody ever claimed that he was. Rather, he is suspected of being an agent of the Italian intel service with links to British intel, both used by the CIA as beards for its nefarious activities around its own election meddling of 2016. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's Democratic caucus has been busy with ersatz impeachment proceedings, which are invidiously scheduled to continue next week as a smokescreen to conceal the Horowitz findings. It's been a frantic campaign for them at a fraught moment in this long saga, but the odor of desperation is thick and rank. Of course, behind the Horowitz report loom the specters of Barr and Durham. Whatever they've been up to has been hermetically sealed in a globe of silence, even more oppressive and nightmarish for the Dems than the IG's inquiry. Barr and Durham are able to make things stick, most crucially genuine criminal culpability for the entire Russiagate fiasco and all of its offshoots, including the most recent whistleblower caper, a patently treasonous scheme. Who knows if and when indictments start raining down, but there's a chance that it will be a very hard rain indeed. I'm not so sure that the Democratic Party can survive the washing away of its beloved narrative by that hard rain. They are also faced with a field of manifestly lame presidential candidates, especially the current leader of the pack, Joe Biden, fumbling and doddering his way down the campaign trail in an apparent effort to dodge being investigated for the grifts of his VP years. All this may be enough to put the party down, like a dog that has peed on the carpet one too many times. Somebody else from some other hastily assembled party may have to stand against Trump in 2020. So yeah, good article. We'll see what happens, but it's very nice to see the entire narrative collapsing, and we'll see what Horowitz brings out. You know, it may just be a preamble to the real criminal referrals that hopefully will be brought forward by Barr and Durham, and I would take their silence throughout the whole process as a very good sign. So anyway, just a short video today. Maybe I'll be doing another one later today. Hope you guys are having a good one. Talk to you next time. Cheers.